My name's Jake. I'm 29, and last summer I paid over $12,000 for what was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime, a 2-week luxury vacation to Italy for me and my parents. My dad had just turned 60, my mom had been talking for years about visiting Florence and Venice, and I'd finally saved enough from my job in software development to surprise them with something big. I booked the flights, the 5-star hotels, private tours, even arranged for a local guide to take us through lesser-known Tuscan towns. It was supposed to be a thank you gift, a way of showing appreciation for everything they'd done for me growing up. But I should have seen it coming. I should have seen him coming. By him, I mean my younger brother, Matt. He's 26, still lives at home, has bounced between jobs, and somehow always lands on his feet, usually because someone else cushions the fall. My parents never admitted out loud, but the favoritism has been clear since we were kids. I was the responsible one, the invisible one, the one expected to handle things on my own, while Matt got all the attention and forgiveness. I still remember the day I revealed the surprise. We were sitting around the dinner table, one of those rare weekends when we were all in the same place. I handed my parents a printed itinerary in a sleek little folder. My mom's eyes went wide as she read through it. The Amalfi Coast, a gondola ride in Venice, cooking classes in Tuscany, wine tastings, ancient ruins. My dad smiled, clapped me on the back, said, "This is amazing, Jake." Even Matt looked impressed. For a second, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I'd done something they'd remember forever. Then came the change. A few days before the trip, my mom started acting weird. She kept asking if I was sure the rooms had enough space, if the tours could accommodate changes, and whether there was any way to swap names on the airline tickets. At first, I brushed it off. I figured maybe she was just anxious about the long flight. But then I caught a glimpse of a text on her phone while she was helping me carry groceries in from the car. It was from Matt. It read, "Did he say anything yet? Can't believe he's not offering. So selfish." My stomach sank. I didn't ask. I didn't want to hear whatever excuse was coming. The night before the flight, my dad called a family meeting. I should have known something was off by the way he said it, like he was the CEO of a company, not a father. We sat down in the living room, and he launched into this rehearsed speech about how Matt had been through a tough year, how he really needed a reset, and how they decided it would be better for everyone if Matt took my place on the trip. I laughed. I genuinely thought he was joking. I looked at my mom, waiting for her to cut in, to roll her eyes and tell him to stop messing with me. But she just nodded, gently, like this was the best solution for all parties involved. My voice caught in my throat. "You're serious?" I asked, my hands clenched so tight I could feel my nails digging into my palm. My dad gave me that patronizing look he's perfected over the years, the one that says we know what's best, just go along with it. "Matt deserves a break," he said. "And you're young, you'll have plenty of chances." Plenty of chances. Like I was some lottery machine of opportunity while they cashed in their tickets for Matt. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just nodded. I smiled, even. And I said, "Okay." The next morning, I drove them to the airport. I carried their bags, smiled for the selfies my mom insisted on taking, and watched Matt strut around like he'd won some contest. As they were boarding, my dad clapped me on the back again, same exact gesture as when I first gave them the folder, and said, "We'll bring you back something nice." I stood there until their flight took off. Then I walked back to the car, sat for 10 minutes in the lot, and pulled out my phone. I opened the hotel booking app and quietly canceled every reservation I'd made. 5-star hotel in Rome? Gone. The countryside villa with the private pool in Umbria? Gone. The gondola ride confirmation? Cancelled. The wine tasting? Voided. I didn't even feel angry. Just hollow. Like I'd been hollow for a long time, and this was the first time I actually noticed the echo inside me. Later that evening, I got a message from my mom. Landed safely. Everything looked so beautiful. I didn't respond. An hour after that, another one. "Why is the hotel saying there's no reservation?" Then my dad, "Jake, did you book the wrong dates?" Then a call. Then 3. Then Matt, "Bro, not funny. Fix this." I turned off my phone and went for a walk. The air was cool, crisp. It felt like I was breathing for the first time in weeks. When I got home, I made myself dinner, nothing fancy, just pasta and a bit of leftover chicken, and sat at the table where I'd handed them that stupid folder 2 weeks earlier. I could still see the crease marks in the placemats from where they'd leaned over, wide-eyed, pretending to be grateful. I stared at my phone on the counter. It was still lighting up every few minutes, vibrating quietly, like a trapped bug trying to escape a jar. Around 10 p.m., curiosity got the better of me. I turned it back on. 37 messages. The first few were what I expected: confusion, panic, mild frustration. Jake, something's wrong with the hotel. They won't let us check in without a credit card. Your dad's calling the manager now. Please call us. Then things escalated. We're sitting in the lobby. Matt's tired. This isn't okay. Did you cancel it? Jake, what are you doing? You better fix this right now. Do you realize how humiliating this is? We're in a foreign country. The last one was from my dad. Timestamped just 20 minutes earlier. I don't know what your problem is, but you've crossed a line. You'll regret this. I stared at that one the longest. You'll regret this. It hit me how familiar that tone was. The way he could be disappointed and threatening at the same time. Like I was a defective employee who'd failed a quarterly report. I wasn't his son in that message. I was the problem. The inconvenience. The mistake. So I did something I'd never done before. I blocked his number. Then my mom's. Then Matt's. The next day, I woke up feeling light. Lighter than I'd felt in years. It wasn't joy, not yet, but it was something close to peace. I worked from home, cleaned the apartment, and decided I'd finally book that solo hiking retreat I'd kept putting off. While they were scrambling around Rome, trying to figure out how to pay for hotels they didn't even know the names of, I was organizing my own version of freedom. 2 days passed before my cousin Rachel called me out of the blue. She's one of the few relatives I still talk to, someone who'd always noticed the favoritism but stayed quiet because, in her words, it's not my family to fix. When I picked up, she didn't even say hello. They're freaking out, she said, half laughing, half whispering like she was reporting live from the front lines. Your dad called Uncle Dean trying to get money wired because apparently their cards are maxed out. Your mom is blaming your brother. Matt's blaming everyone. And get this, they finally got into a hotel yesterday, but it's like some 2-star airport place. She's been posting passive-aggressive travel updates all over Facebook like everything's fine. I smiled. Not because they were suffering. Okay, maybe a little. But because, for once, the script had flipped. For once, I wasn't the one getting thrown aside so someone else could play the hero in a story I wrote. Rachel paused. You okay? Honestly, I said. I've never been better. There was a long silence. Then she added, good. Because I think you needed to do this. And I hope you don't let them guilt you out of it. I promised her I wouldn't. But of course, the guilt did come. Not right away. Not when they were texting. Not when they were calling. Not even when my mom tried emailing me with subject lines like, please just call, and we can fix this. It came later. Quietly. In the evenings, when I saw families walking outside, or when I scrolled past someone's vacation photos and felt that familiar sting of this was supposed to be us. But then I'd remember how easily they erased me. How they decided, without even asking, that I didn't belong on the trip I planned, paid for, and poured my heart into. How they laughed at the airport like they were doing me a favor. And just like that, the guilt would fade, replaced by something harder, sharper. Not bitterness, exactly, more like clarity. A week after they were supposed to fly back, I got an email from Matt. You made your point. Everyone's mad. They think you're being dramatic. Just fix it before it gets worse. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just a demand. That's when I realized. He still didn't get it. None of them did. I left the email unanswered. A few days later, my dad tried calling from a different number. I didn't answer. Then my mom texted me from a friend's phone. If you needed the attention that badly, you could have just told us. This was cruel. Cruel. That word sat with me all day, like a stone in my shoe. And by the end of the night, I decided I was done being quiet. I opened my laptop and started writing the kind of email I'd never dared to send before. No anger. No cursing. Just truth. Just years of swallowed frustration, packaged neatly in paragraphs they couldn't talk over or twist. I hit send. Then I waited. The reply came less than 2 hours later, but I didn't open it right away. Just seeing my mom's name in bold text at the top of my inbox sent a surge of adrenaline through me, not the good kind. I'd spent my entire life avoiding conflict with my parents, taking the high road, swallowing things down to keep the peace. And now that I'd finally said my piece, part of me didn't want to see how they twisted. I didn't want the apology if it was only meant to reset the dynamic, to shove me back into the role of the good son, the one who made things easier. But curiosity is a stubborn thing. The message was long. Pages, really. My mom had clearly been typing with fury or panic. Maybe both. She started by saying she didn't appreciate the tone of my letter, that my message had ruined what little joy was left of the trip, that she and my dad were embarrassed beyond belief and still trying to clean up the mess I created. Not once did she acknowledge what they did at the airport. Not once did she say, "We're sorry." Instead, she wrote lines like, "Matt didn't ask for this. We thought it would be a nice gesture to include him. You could have handled this like an adult. You blindsided us. Your father has been humiliated. He's barely spoken since we got back." And then the kicker, "We're your parents, Jake. We don't owe you anything, but you owe us respect." I sat with that line for a long time. We don't owe you anything. Not even basic decency. Not even a conversation before giving away my seat on a trip I spent months planning and paying for. I didn't respond. I couldn't. What was there to say to someone who truly believed love was a one-way street? Over the next few weeks, the silence stretched longer. I started getting messages from relatives, distant cousins, family friends, who'd clearly been fed a version of events that painted me as unstable, vengeful, dramatic. One message from my uncle read, "Your mom said you're going through something. We're all worried about you. Maybe talk to someone." I deleted that one immediately. The thing is, I had talked to someone. My therapist. For months leading up to the trip, we'd worked through years of family dynamics, guilt, emotional labor. She'd helped me name things I never knew how to describe: enmeshment, scapegoating, conditional affection. She never told me what to do. She just gave me tools. So when the messages from my family started to shift from guilt to rage, then to denial, then finally to silence, I didn't panic. I didn't chase after them or try to fix it. I just let it happen. 3 weeks after they got home, Matt showed up at my apartment. I hadn't seen him since the airport. He stood outside my door in joggers and a designer hoodie, holding a to-go coffee in one hand and a plastic shopping bag in the other. "Can we talk?" he said, eyes darting past me like he was afraid someone else might be watching. I didn't invite him in. We stood in the hallway. "I didn't know they were going to do that," he said after a few seconds of silence. I suggested it, but I didn't think they'd actually go through with it." I stared at him. "You suggested it?" He winced. "I was joking. Mostly. I just said you wouldn't mind. You're always doing stuff like this. I didn't think they'd cancel your ticket without telling you." I couldn't help but laugh, a short, sharp sound that didn't feel like mine. "You didn't think they'd cancel it, but you still boarded the plane?" I asked. He shrugged. "Well, it was all booked. It would have gone to waste. And Mom said you were probably cool with it, just being dramatic." That word again. "I'm not giving you anything, Matt," I said. "If that's why you're here, you can go." He looked genuinely surprised. "What?" "No, I'm not here for money." I waited. He glanced down, then offered the bag. "I brought you some stuff. A couple souvenirs. Just figured I owed you that much." It was probably the closest thing to an apology I'd ever get from him. I didn't take the bag. "Matt," I said carefully, "I think it's best if we don't talk for a while. Not until you figure out what it means to actually respect someone. I'm not your fallback. I'm not your punchline. I'm your brother. And I'm done playing the extra in your story." His mouth opened like he wanted to argue, but then, slowly, he nodded. "Okay," he said. "I get it." He left the bag by my door. I waited until I heard the elevator ding before I picked it up. I didn't throw it out, but I didn't open it either. 2 months passed. The silence from my parents remained total. Then, on my 30th birthday, a card showed up in my mailbox. No return address. Just my name and my mom's handwriting. Inside was a short note. "We hope you're okay. We miss you. Things got messy. Let's talk soon. Love, Mom and Dad." There was no apology. No ownership. Just a vague attempt at resetting the board, like nothing had really happened. I put the card back in the envelope and slid it into a drawer. That evening, I booked a solo trip to Iceland. Not to escape, but to celebrate. For the first time in my life, I was choosing myself. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. And the next morning, as I boarded the plane, I finally understood what freedom tasted like. But that wasn't the end. When I got back from Iceland, I felt new, lighter, like I'd finally burned off the parts of me that had lived for someone else's approval. The trip had been stunning: waterfalls crashing over cliffs, hot springs under pale green auroras, a landscape that felt carved by something bigger than any of us. I'd taken photos, but only for myself. No performative vacation posts, no frantic updates to my parents. It was the first time I'd traveled where I wasn't trying to earn anyone's praise. But when I opened my apartment door, reality slid back in like a draft under a locked window. There was a letter on the floor. No envelope. Just a folded sheet of paper with my name scrawled across it in my father's handwriting. My stomach turned the way it used to before parent-teacher conferences, a mix of dread and practiced numbness. I picked it up, shut the door behind me, and stood there in the entryway while I read. Jake, we stopped by because we're trying to fix this. We didn't know how to reach you. You've made it clear you don't want to talk, and we're trying to respect that. But you need to understand that we are your parents. We've always done what we thought was best for you, even when it hurt. This can't go on forever. Families argue. Families mess up. But they come back together. We miss you. Your mother misses you. Come home. There it was again. The implication that they hadn't really done anything wrong, just parented imperfectly. That I was the one dragging this out. That the solution was simple. Come home, smile for the pictures, pretend nothing ever happened. I crumpled the letter, dropped it into the trash, and went to unpack. For a few days, I tried to ignore the unease that followed me everywhere, like a shadow just out of reach. I didn't want more drama. I didn't want another confrontation. I just wanted to keep living the life I was finally building. But then came the call. It was from my bank. Apparently, there had been an attempted access to one of my older accounts, a joint savings account my parents had helped me open years ago when I first started working full-time. I'd completely forgotten about it. It had maybe $3,000 left in it, left over from my early 20s. They tried to withdraw it. The teller flagged it when my father claimed he was authorized. Said it was family money. But my name was the only one on the account. The access was denied, but the bank rep was calling to confirm I was aware of the attempt. I wasn't. But now I was furious. It felt like a line had been crossed, not just emotionally, but legally. Like they were no longer content with emotional leverage and guilt. Now they were reaching for whatever else they could grab. That night, I got another email from my mother. The subject line just said, "Please stop." The message inside was short. "You're turning people against us. You're making us look like monsters. You've said enough. Please stop." And that's when I decided, no more silence. No more carefully constructed distance. If they wanted a reckoning, they'd get one. I didn't reply to the email. I wrote a letter. A real one. Printed, signed, and delivered by hand. It was 4 pages long. I told them everything. Every moment I'd felt like the afterthought. Every time they'd put Matt first. Every decision I'd made to try to please them. Only to be told I was being difficult or too sensitive. I laid out what happened with the Italy trip. Not just the facts, but the betrayal, the emotional blow of watching them choose someone else in the moment that was supposed to be mine. And then I told them that I wasn't coming back. That love without respect isn't love. That family without accountability is just a shared bloodline. That I'd mourned the idea of having parents who saw me as more than a backup plan. And I was done trying to win a game they rigged from the start. I dropped the letter in their mailbox. No doorbell. No warning. And then I moved. I found a new apartment, smaller, quieter, closer to the hiking trails I discovered during my Iceland trip. I changed my phone number. I closed every old joint account. I scrubbed my social media. I even set up mail forwarding, just in case they tried sending more cards or guilt-laced letters. The only people who had my new address were friends who'd earned it. People who saw me, really saw me, and didn't ask me to shrink so others could shine. Months passed. Spring turned into summer. I started sleeping better. I joined a climbing group. I started writing again, something I hadn't done since college. I finally had room to think, to breathe, to be myself without bracing for impact. And then, on a quiet Saturday in August, Rachel reached out. She'd just gotten back from a family barbecue, one I hadn't been invited to, obviously. She said my parents looked tired. My mom was drinking more than usual. My dad didn't talk much. Matt was bragging about his new startup, but couldn't explain what it actually did. No one mentioned my name, but there was a strange energy like the air before a storm. Everyone could feel something missing. "I know you don't want to hear about them," she texted, "but I just thought you should know. You're not the one who broke the family. You're the one who stopped lying about it." I didn't cry, but I felt something loosen in my chest. A few weeks later, I got a package. No return label. Inside was the folder I'd used to print the Italy itinerary, the original one I gave them the night I surprised them. The pages were worn, crinkled. There were notes in my mom's handwriting on some of them, like "Jake loved this view" and "Ask hotel about birthday cake." No note. No explanation. Just that folder. It was the first honest thing they'd sent me in a long time. I didn't respond, but I didn't throw it away either. I kept it. Not because I forgave them, not yet, maybe not ever. but because it reminded me of who I used to be, of how hard I tried, of the kind of son I was before I realized I deserved better. Today, I'm 31. I'm not angry anymore. Just clear. People say revenge is sweet. Maybe, but peace is better. And walking away? That was the real revenge.